Good morning, Internet, and welcome to my reaction to Tucker Carlson's, this is a long title, Jeremiah Johnson, Shroud of Turin, Dead Sea Scrolls, and attempts to hide historical proof. I think it actually cuts off from there. What is it? Historical proof of Jesus. Yeah, that's a really big mouthful, yeah. So this is a video that my friend sent me and wanted me to do. They wanted to get my thoughts on it, and so I figured I might as well give my live reactions. And Sarah and Megan say hello. Hey guys, how's it going? As much as I cannot stand Tucker Carlson, even more so because I already tried a reaction to this and they copyrighted my video and took it down. So now you're just gonna get the subtitles for the video. That's it. That's all you're gonna get. So if you want to watch the actual video, go ahead. It's not going to be interesting. You can watch my reaction to what is being said because all it's happening is just them lying to you. I already watched a little bit of it, and it already pisses me off. But anyways, regarding the Shroud of Turin, when I said I would do a reaction to this, right after that, Emma Thorne already made a video debunking it, and it's the second debunk I've seen on the Shroud of Turin. So this is something that goes up in popularity and then down and then up and down. When new people find it, and then they debunk it, and then they get disinterested, and then new people that never heard about it get into it and whatnot. So that's a thing. So anyways, maybe this one would be the one to convince me. We'll see. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. If you want to follow along, you can. I'm going to be doing it in real time, so that way you can actually see. But you're just gonna see the subtitles in this, because otherwise they're gonna copyright ban the video. Awful. Is that really necessary, Tucker Carlson? You're not allowing people to do any reactions to your content. What does that say about you? I think it says that you're a piece of shit. So anyways, let's dive into this. I need to make sure you guys can't really hear it. So tell me if you can, but I just need to be able to hear it. Here you go. Some bits of the subtitles might be cut off, but anyways, this would be more entertaining if the actual video is here. But anyways, we're just going to get into it. Yeah, there's you can't really hear it, right? Okay. So anyways, I swear to God if this gets copyrighted somehow. I feel like I've transformed it enough. But anyways, this is they're saying that this cloth somehow proves Jesus existed, Jesus was crucified, which on the surface I don't really have a problem with, just that by itself. But the part of the resurrection and somehow he's God, that I so far see as a complete non sequitur. By the way, this was already found to be a fraud. According to the last debunk I saw from Emma Thorne, this was already even when shortly after it was made, people actually the people that made it just came out and said yeah, I have it documented that I made this, and it's I don't know if it was meant to necessarily be fiction. We could watch Emma's video. There's no way she's gonna copyright claim me. But anyways, oh my gosh. clingy. But anyways, okay, you can't actually hear it. Great. How would it be a resurrection cloth? How would you know? How would a cloth even depict that? You literally don't know anything about Jesus. So, as far as my understanding of historical Jesus, there's when it comes to anything that's historical, it's a little bit more loose of what's accepted as more likely true rather than not when it comes to that. Simply because there's only so much evidence you could go off of, and it's almost entirely anecdotal, almost sometimes not. But in this case, it's definitely anecdotal. And so all that there is writings. And so the only thing that people can say is, like, people normally don't get written about that, like, don't actually exist, unless that they are part of a religion and all of the text is about the dogma of the religion. So what you would need is a text outside of dogma talking about Jesus existing around the time and outside of any evidence that there would be dogma, and that the text isn't about dogma at all. And to my understanding, we don't even entirely have that, but we have, like, vague mentions of things that, like, could be interpreted as Jesus or maybe or not. And so it's in this state of a toss-up, and I wish there was something that I could be like, by the way, this is the thing that shows that Jesus was real, or the thing that shows that, like, there's a possibility of Jesus. I don't know. All right, now we're looking at the image. So Jesus was tall, according to this, apparently. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, you don't fucking know which day. So anyways, when it comes to historical Jesus, all that I have seen that is legitimate from actual biblical scholars. I've seen a couple biblical scholars arguing that any evidence of Jesus is used completely fallaciously, and to that, I like, sure, because it's all anecdotal and it could all just be like a bunch of horse shit. But it is used to the same degree as other historical figures at the time. They use the same metrics of what they deem to be evidence enough. And so, according to Lawrence from the Behold Network, previously known as Milwaukee Atheist, who is, I don't know if I could call him a biblical scholar yet. Maybe I can. But I know that's what he wants to become. But I think he might actually be at this point. But anyways, he's done enough studying to say that the consensus is that there's vaguely like enough like sort of mentions that you could say like perhaps there was someone that was named Jesus or something like that, and they were a first century faith healer, and they were just a con artist, and then people didn't like that, and then they got crucified. No miracles or anything else, and that's a big maybe. That's a maybe. So that's as much as we have of actual Jesus. So maybe, like, if that's all, if that's true, like, I have no problem with that. So we're looking at another image, and the face is so clearly defined, like, it doesn't look like, this was part of the debunk, was that the face doesn't look like what would be left over if you ever done, like, not a face paint, but like if you've ever seen someone's facial impressions upon either paper or in cement or whatever, like the parts that actually like touch things. Cement is probably a bad example, but like things that are fabric, like what touches it, it doesn't look like this. What I'm seeing here looks like almost like a painting of a face that is supposedly Jesus. They have no idea if Jesus even existed, what he would look like. There's a part where he has hands over each other there, and it's like so clearly defined, even with this part. And it's like a cloth would not be able to do that because it's not flat. Like, in the same way you can't use fabric to wrap around a globe and have it perfectly fit and then take it off. Humans are not flat. You can't get a perfect image just from this. This is a fraud. It's so clearly a fraud. What? Oh, he's advertising some nonsense. Oh my god. Anyways, oh my god. Cozy. Cool. I'm not banned off of YouTube yet, so apparently this style is working, apparently. My friend who watched this video said that the facts were delivered so confidently that it was convincing. I told them that is technically an argument from authority, because if they're not actually if they're not bringing sources, like a great source for this needs to be scientific consensus. That would be the level of magnitude that you would need for this, and you do not have that. This is literally Jeremiah Johnson. Is that his name? Yes. He's talking out of his ass right now. I just watched a video of this interview with R and Raw with Lawrence from the Behold Network, previously known as Milwaukee Atheists, and he was talking about the earliest documentation that you could say as far as like when the Bible was written was in 70 BCE, and that like there's already no eyewitnesses. What? No one was Christian then. They were all Jewish. Paul. The names Matthew, Luke, and Paul, those aren't the actual names of the people that wrote it. We don't know who wrote it. Those are just the names that go with it. That's just what they're called. So if you want to say the author of Luke, sure. It's not Luke. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is not. I don't have any area of expertise, honestly, except maybe out of stereography, but stereoscopy. But even then, I hardly even have that. So all I've done is read the Bible with critical commentary from biblical scholars. I've watched the whole thing from the Behold Network, and currently watching all of Blasphemer's Bible from R and Rob with another set of commentary, and the historical scientific consensus on how the Gospels were written was, again, this is like just off the top of my head, this is a reaction. Hold on. They're showing an image here of the cloth. Even if this wasn't already thoroughly debunked to be a fraud, how would you know this was even fucking Jesus? This could have been any human. Oh my gosh, Jesus was crucified worse than anyone could have ever been crucified. Yeah. It's not, a photographic negative isn't clear. Alright, well, this is an ad. Unfortunately, I don't see the skip. Okay. Anyways. I swear to God. No! Okay, I'm going to fast forward to where the thing left off. God damn it. Okay, I think it's here. Yep, that's where the ad was. $700 wounds. Okay, here we go. You have the subtitles. Hopefully, if you're wasting the time and watching Tucker Carlson's video, you can, like, get to this part. It vanishes. It doesn't... What the fuck? What the fuck does this have to do with anything? The image vanishes if you get close to it? What are you talking about? These kinds of videos are such a fucking waste of time. This is an hour and 33 minutes. And I feel like a lot of these are so long just to, like, make people not want to react to this. Oh yeah? Science can't replicate this? I think you're full of fucking shit. I listen to a bunch of biblical scholars. That's not true. I listen to Lawrence, I listen to R and Ra, and if there was evidence of Jesus, well, they cite biblical scholars, that's what I mean. They cite a bunch of biblical scholars. If we had evidence of this, I would have heard a scientific consensus by now. And this is perhaps one of the most debunked fraudsters that I've heard of Jesus. That to R and Ra and Lawrence, they don't even touch it. Because it's on the level of, like, why would I even fucking waste my time? That's what this shit always is. It's always the biggest waste of time. This dude's talking out of his fucking ass. I can tell just by the way you talk that you're a preacher. You don't know fuck all about this shit. You just want Jesus to exist, so you're going to make up shit or take shit that's fraud and say it's true. That the lied about is true. Only Protestant Christian is true. No, young Earth. What is it? Evangelical. Only evangelical Christianity is true. I don't know what type of Christianity they are. I grew up Protestant. My friend's not gonna like my reaction. I thought it would be more. I thought it wouldn't just be some dude talking out his fucking ass the entire time. I really thought, like, they would show actual evidence. They're just showing just like the cloth and just like, look at it. Look at what happens when you put it in the negative. It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, and science can't replicate it. Show me an experiment. Like, what do you mean? Show me what experiments they tried to do and failed. You're just entirely talking out of your ass. I thought this guy would be more legitimate or something. He's just a preacher. Everyone who talks like this, it's just it's always this really soft voice. Well, let me Google this then. Let's see. So I googled Shroud of Turin scientific consensus, true or fraud. AI overview. Scientific consensus holds that the Shroud of Turin is a medieval forgery based primarily on radiocarbon dating conducted in 1988. That's been a long time since this has been thoroughly debunked. But I think it's older than that. While some researchers continue to propose alternative explanations, their arguments have been largely dismissed by the broader scientific community. The Catholic Church itself does not officially endorse the Shroud as authentic and leaving it a matter of faith. That's right. The Catholic Church, I think that's a little bit of an understatement. They say this is wrong. It's so much of a fraud that even they don't say it's true. What blood type? What blood type? There's no way you can get that. The mathematician. Oh, shut the fuck up. A mathematician? Like they have any any relevance in historicity of this at all. Holy fuck. They love getting people outside of their area of expertise to comment on this. Alright, it's a commercial. Alright, I'm gonna mute this just for myself. Evidence of forgery. Carbon-14 dating. The most definitive evidence comes from tests in 1988, where 3 independent and respected laboratories dated the Shroud samples to a period between 1260 and 1390 BCE or AD. This date coincides with the first historical evidence of the artifact in France. While some have claimed the samples were contaminated by later repairs, this theory has not been validated and has been largely rejected by radiocarbon dating experts. Gee, all it takes is just like a simple fucking Google search for a lot of this shit. I mean, if you want, we could go into the citations that the AI overview. They normally give a fuck ton of citations. Alright, let's get back into this. Paint pigments. Early scientific investigations in the 1970s by Walter McCrone found that the blood stains were actually paint pigments, primarily red, ochre, and vermilion. Though disputed by other members of his team, McCrone's findings supported the creation of the Shroud by an artist. Wow. Textile analysis. The specific herringbone twill weaving of the Shroud's lining is inconsistent with textiles found in 1st century Judea and was common in the medieval period. Pollen evidence. In 1978, a study claims to have found pollen specific to ancient Palestine, but this research has been largely dismissed. Critics point to the unreliability of the botanist who conducted the analysis and to the presence of pollen from all over the world, suggesting contamination from medieval travel and storage. Debunked arguments for authenticity. Oh man, I guess I could read this. There's only a little bit more left. Sample contamination claims that the 1988 carbon-dated sample was contaminated by modern material from a medieval repair has been dismissed by experts. The radiocarbon dating was meticulously planned, and follow-up examinations of leftover samples show no evidence of a significant modern or contaminated material. They're talking just about the crucifixion. Image formation theories. Proponents had suggested that a bunch of radiation and other inexplainable energy during the resurrection event created the image. However, these theories operate outside of known laws of physics and are untestable, rendering them unscientific. While some experiments have used UV lasers to produce shroud-like effects on lion? L-I-N-E-N. Is it just line? I don't know. They do not replicate all the image's properties and do not explain the creation of the original. 3D properties. The Shroud's image contains 3D information, an unusual feature that some claims is unexplainable by medieval art techniques. However, this is not a unique property that can be reproduced through various means, including projection from a low relief sculpture. Cool. Just looking at other things here. NBC News. Forensics research once again suggests the Shroud of Turin is fake. Reddit. How would you debunk new research on the Shroud of Turin evidence? Shroud was proven to be fake. The Vatican admitted to making it in the 13th century CE. There is no new research. It's just conjecture at this point. It's so thoroughly debunked. It's really like, why the fuck is anyone still talking about this? And like I said earlier, I think it's because people don't know it's debunked. They hear about it and they're like, oh my god, this confirms my bias. It's not confirmation bias or anything. I'm going to finish it because I said I would. What the fuck does this have anything to do with it? Okay. People that surround themselves with not evidence. What's the right word? People that surround themselves with conjecture that is just people talking, and there's no evidence being shown, any citations that we can like look up. It's just take my word for it, because I'm speaking very clearly and confidently. Like that level of what's it called? Argument from authority is enough, on top of like the not being able to imagine that somebody would be okay with lying about this. And when I say lying, I want to put it in the scientific stance of it, whereas if you can't show it, you don't know it. If you're saying something is true and you know it's false, everyone knows that that is lying. In the scientific sense, you can also say, if somebody thinks something is true, but they don't know for sure, but they think it is, but they say it is true, and they're not saying, I think it's true, that is also lying. Because you're saying something, I think, as I know. That is a lie. That is a lie. So, that's it. Either you back it up, and it's just like, holy shit. And I think that's where a lot of people, especially people that are in cults, including religion, if they think, oh, I can, what do you call it? Sorry, I'm getting distracted by this. I am supposed to be reacting to this. Completely lost my train of thought. Okay, I need to take this off to think for a second. So, oh my god, I hate that I lost my train of thought. I know more of you are watching. Who remembers what I was talking about? Fuck. Oh yeah, I think people that are, they can't. Oh yeah. When you are part of this faith, and a lot of people here, almost all of them, are convinced that faith is a good thing. That if I just believe hard enough, it's true, and that's what I'm supposed to do. That's a good thing. They celebrate it, the I think, and turning it into the I know. And so they are not only okay, but they celebrate the promotion of misinformation by taking the I think into the I know. And that's what this guy is doing. And I can take a little bit of malice off of it when it's like that's all he's ever known, and so he thinks like he's doing the right thing by doing this, and he's never actually listened to like scientists before, how they talk. All they've ever heard are preachers and like maybe teachers at school. And so when that's the case, then they're like, that's how everybody talks, and so if they could talk that confidently, then so can I. And so this guy, Jeremiah Johnson, feels so confident in the bullshit that he's saying right now. No citations anywhere. Literally, he's just like, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. Holy fucking shit. It took one Google search and it wasn't just that one thing. Every single thing was like, yeah, again, it's been debunked. It's been debunked so many fucking times. And I'm like, to the person that wanted my reaction to this, I love them very much. And not just in the I love you very much in the YouTube way. Like, I love them very much. They're very, very close to me. I'm like, please start Googling. Like, it just whatever you hear that's extraordinary, just take a sec. Like, if you're gonna ever repeat it to somebody and you're like, hey, this is a thing I heard, just so you feel better about not spreading misinformation, just take a sec. Just like Google to see if this hasn't already been thoroughly debunked. Just like, please, like, just try that. But okay, I need to start reacting to this again. But like, this is now already in the holy fucking shit. Why are we talking about this camp? But I said I was gonna react to the whole thing, so let's go. Uh, I wish he said. I don't know if he. I might have missed it. If he ever said like, the nails are through his hands. According to historians and biblical scholars at the time, that would be very unusual, and they wouldn't have done that. If anything, it would have been through the wrists. But I mean, maybe he did say that. Maybe he did say that. So I don't want to misrepresent him. But holy fuck, my respect for this guy critically is extremely low, that I'm like, should I even give him any credit? Really? The answer is yes, I should, for the things he gives credit for, but like, holy fuck. Let's talk about science. When it comes to science, you first need to, any piece of evidence, you need to test against the null hypothesis, which the null hypothesis is basically, this isn't true. That's the null hypothesis in almost all circumstances. Which the null hypothesis, to my understanding, is defined as whichever of all the evidence so far points to, and if there's a new piece of evidence that says something different, you could say, okay, how would I know that this is true versus the null hypothesis, which is before that evidence, which is this is not true, right? So that's what the null is. So how could you test to see if this was a forgery or not? And it's never, with this kind of stuff, it's never, oh, let's test to see what evidence there is against my beliefs. It's always what confirms what I already believe. And that's what confirmation bias is, and that's what science isn't. It's always the opposite. So no part of this, like, he's said some things that just weren't true, so it's just a fucking fraud. We want to talk about some fallacies here. We could throw in diminished responsibility of, like, and I did this too when I worked at a cult vector. If I didn't know something was true or not, I did not question it, because I didn't want to risk the fact that something I believed that was essential to the dogma wasn't true, because then I would have to be lying even more about something being true. Because if I didn't know whether it was true or not, but I was just told it was true, I was comfortable saying that it was true because that's what I've been told. That's typically how that went. So I never questioned any of that. And so that's a big problem here, is that he probably has just heard all of this, all of the science can't do this, and it hasn't been able to do that, and all of that shit. And then he doesn't actually look any of it up. He doesn't even bother to do a quick Google search. This video is like a month old. This is pretty fucking new. So, like, this has been debunked so many times by this point. Oh my god. Yeah, this is the thing that I had a friend on Facebook that was like Shroud of Turin, and it was like 2 years ago, and that's when I like first looked it up, and I'm like, is this a thing? And then it was very quickly like, no, it's not. And then I watched a debunk on it. That's the first time I saw this was 2 years ago, and I'm like, this is debunked further than like a lot of shit. Not only that, because like as far as like the list of like major debunked shit, um, of like Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden, and all that, and then like the global flood thing. Those are there's reason to believe against it. This is up there. I don't know if it's bigger than those, but it might be like right next to it because I just read we have accounts of someone stating they made it. They did it in the 1300s, and that concords with the radiometric dating that is between that time. And holy shit, when evidence lines up, that's your hypothesis, right? And it's still falsifiable, but it's like, I don't know. Well, no. That's the null hypothesis, right? The hypothesis would be this being true, and that's falsifiable, and so so it falsifies into the null hypothesis, which was it's not true. You can't ever prove things in the positive, but you can absolutely prove things in the negative. So the radiometric dating, I would say that's the biggest nail in the coffin. Like, absolutely not. And if you're not quite convinced by radiometric dating, we probably need to have a talk of like why that's so consistent. I guess I could talk about that because we have to get through this fucking thing, and just you guys looking at the subtitles is probably not very interesting. Oh my god, he's just talking about a bunch of fucking nonsense. There's nothing to do with it. Jesus fucking Christ. But it's not uncommon for this to happen. I read through the whole Bible, and holy shit, was almost all of that complete fucking pointless nonsense. Still better than the Book of Mormon, and right now I would say it is better than the Quran. I would say the Quran is more entertaining because it's kind of newer to me, and there's some crazy twists and turns. Anyways, radiometric dating. When it comes to living things that are, oh, you know what, let's just Google this. I want to Google the half-life of carbon-14. I think it's like 60,000 years or something like that, but let me just double check. What is the half-life of carbon-14? Oh, it's not 60,000 years, it's 6,000 years, but it is approximately 5,730 years. Cool. So approximately 6,000. So anyways, the closer to that date, the better the dating actually is. So, 1,000 years ago is enough. Is definitely enough to radiometric to carbon date this. Carbon dating is where you measure when carbon in this case, but let's just say an element that is more radioactive than others. You can find that that element decays into the element beneath it, which let's Google. What does carbon-14 decay into? What does carbon-14 decay into? Nitrogen-14. So what a half-life refers to is how much time does it take for half of the parent material when it all comes together. In this example, it's a life form because fabric is made from plants, so you can carbon date that. And so when the carbon came together, when it was alive, because that constantly replenishes the carbon, so you know exactly how much parent material is there versus the nitrogen. So that's a pretty good way to know. And again, this is my armchair lay science understanding of it. So like, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But this is just this is why I have this channel. I'm just like explaining things, and for a lot of people, they've never heard of this before, and they're like, you should have a channel. And I'm like, I have no area of expertise, but Google it for yourself. But like, I'm just gonna say like my best understanding based off of what I know. So the parent material, carbon-14, decays into nitrogen 14, and it takes that approximate 6,000 years for half of it to happen. And some people might be like, well, why do the half-life? Why not just do like when is it all turn into nitrogen? Well, that kinda never happens. It like eventually does, but like as time goes on, there's less and less and less and less and less of it. You can see it right here. They're holding the crown of thorns. What? That's the thing they put on Jesus? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyways, yeah, so there's less and less and less of it, so you get a less accurate measurement. So anyways, yeah, that's why they do the half-life. And the outer ends of each radiometric elements that you're doing time measurements for is less accurate over time. So you need heavier elements for shorter periods of time or longer. What the fuck ever. I don't know. I think it's longer actually because I think like uranium is done for longer. But anyways, different elements have different half-lives. Some of them are more radioactive than others. And you can use different elements to determine that. But Bryce, how do we know those are true? Well, you compare carbon dating, which is a relatively short one, with a short half-life, to other metrics of dating that we know, like tree ring dating and ice core dating, and all of those line up. So that's a pretty good indication, but also the carbon dating is even more accurate than those other ones, because sometimes tree rings can have like 2 years done there. But we tend to keep, for humans, how long humans have been alive, we tend to keep pretty good track of that stuff. So when it came to like the, here we go. Okay, they're just talking about that Jesus wasn't accused of sin. What the fuck ever. By definition, it's like anything that concords with God is not sinful. So like if he is God, then like by definition he can't commit sin. So it's like what the fuck. He advocated for how to use slaves. Like I think that's pretty sinful. That's pretty fucking awful. But whatever. Anyways, back to radiometric dating. Yeah, every single time we test carbon-14 against other methods of dating and our own historical documentation, it lines up. And then we take that and match it against like argon-argon dating. I think that's another one that overlaps with carbon-14. And so, you know what? Let's just take a look at that. What age ranges are great for carbon dating? Let's look at that one. Carbon dating is highly effective determining the age of organic materials, ranging from approximately 100 to 50,000 years old. So that's like the range. Outside of that, the accuracy declines. So, okay. And then, what age ranges are great for argon dating? Okay. Argon is highly versatile and can be used to determine the age of rocks and material ranging from a few thousand years to billions of years old. It is most reliable when used on volcanic materials that are at least 2,000 years old. So I think that is that's the metric of like 2,000 years is like the low end, and then the long end is billions of years. So, yeah, that's done on rocks. So, that makes sense. So I think it's argon 40 decays into argon 39. Is that how it is? Anyways, potassium. It decays into potassium. What does argon decay into? Argon does not decay into other substances. It says the most common isotope, argon 40, decays into... is a decay product itself primarily formed in the radioactive decay of potassium 40. Potassium 40 undergoes electron capture and potassium immersions and produce stable argon 40. And also beta decay to produce stable calcium 40. Interesting. Well, this is definitely outside of my field of knowledge. But anyways, argon dating overlaps with carbon dating by a lot. So they can take the age ranges between the 50,000 years that carbon 14 can go to, and then the shorter range of 2,000 years that argon can go. And all of them overlap every single time in between and give the same exact results every single time. And so to say that that makes it inaccurate makes it a statistical absurdity. It's not just those two. It collaborates with a bunch of others. Let's just take a look, shall we? What other elements can we use to measure? What other elements can we use to measure radiometric dating? Okay, beyond carbon-14, other key elements used in radiometric dating include potassium, uranium, rubidium, samarium, iodine, thorium, and lutetium. Lu is the abbreviation, which decay into stable daughter isotopes like argon, lead, strontium, neodymium, xenon, barium, hafnium. Cool. That a lot of those I don't even know how to say. Anyways, that's radiometric dating. So we fucking know when this was made. We know when it was made. We know for fucking sure as you can be, all of radiometric dating would have to be wrong. The statistical absurdity, all of it would have to be wrong for the Shroud of Turin to be true. That's as falsified as you fucking can get. This is a load of fucking bullshit. And I have very little, if not no, respect for people that just fucking lie like this. The whole fucking thing is a lie. Holy shit. Damn. I could have just said that. I could have just said it carbon dates to 1300. BCE. Here we go. No, later. We can. We can. You're just saying it can't. You're fucking false. It's not. The Catholics don't like it. What the fuck are you talking about? Let me just Google that. Did the Catholic Church take control of the Shroud of Turin? Yes, the Catholic Church eventually took legal control of the Shroud of Turin in 1983. Okay, that's true. After the last king, the sound was kept in the cathedral, but church only served as a custodian, did not have direct ownership or control. Okay. Why would the Catholic Church give a fuck? Maybe it wasn't thoroughly debunked by then, because it was 1987 that it was like thoroughly debunked, right? I wish that I would come across something that was religious, something Jesus, that like actually had like real evidence, not just fallacies and forgeries and falsehoods, and fallacies, right? I wish it wasn't just all that. Like something that actually has substance we can talk about, that's more interesting, and not something that's thoroughly debunked. What the fuck are you talking about? You have to bring in George Floyd into this? It's all political. Of course it is. I'm gonna fart. A man's man. The fuck does this have to do with anything? I'm gonna eat some chips. The face is too distinctive. The liberal. Holy shit. It really had to dive into politics, didn't it? Let's go. Cool. They're talking about carbon dating. Let's see how they dismiss carbon dating. Ad first. Bro. Dismissing radiometric dating is fucking crazy. Like, if you actually knew what it was, you would know it was fucking stupid. Fucking stupid to dismiss it. I'm not fucking with touching the ad thing again because I don't want to have to fast forward all the way back to this part. We're just going to sit through it. We're sitting through the rest of it, right? So, whatever. Here we go. Mm-hmm. The amount of projection is really fascinating. Because, like, the title of this is what? What is the title of this? Shroud, Turin, Dead Sea Scrolls, and attempts to hide physical proof of Jesus. It's like, if Jesus was real, and all this was real, don't you think, oh my gosh, my girlfriend has been commenting this whole time, and my chat was broken. I'm so sorry. And she probably went to bed. Sarah said the title rolls right off the tongue, and that we can't hear it at all. Good. Because I don't want to get copyrighted. You gave him too much credit. Favorite part of this is the ads. Thanks. I am so sorry. I didn't see that. That is YouTube's fault. I should have checked that. I thought you went right to sleep after that, because you said you would. I'm so sorry. I should have checked. If you... Dang it. If you were going to stick around, I would have refreshed, but I really thought you were just going to go to bed. I needed always check just in case. Anyways, it's like all these people are against Jesus. It's like, why? Why would anyone be against if it's fucking true? Like, don't you think if Jesus was fucking true, we would want to know about it and believe it? Don't we want to fucking know what true things are? I want to know. If Jesus was true, if Christianity was true, I would want to believe it. I just have no evidence to believe it, and I have significant evidence against believing it. So, like, no one should fucking believe this. And it's always the ones that they're the ones that fucking lying and hiding the truth and all this shit that say everyone else is doing it. It's everyone else except for me. Everyone else except for me is fucking hiding shit about Jesus, and I'm the only one saying the truth about Jesus. Why? Well, no one didn't say so. They're all against Jesus. That's what it is. No. You're fucking stupid. It's stupid. I need to tell Sarah that, I'm sorry. I feel so bad. All right, Sarah's still up. I'm so sorry. It's fucking so fraud, it's not even funny. What the fuck? It's electromagnetic? Wait, miracles can be measured by electromagnetic forces? What a concept! Oh my god! Now it's scientific! Now we can scientific. What? Hi. Hi, Sarah. If you're curious, we are at 106.50. If anyone is at home and you're trying to watch this stupid ass shit with me, just go to there. So have the subtitles link up so you can watch it. Sex. What? And that's what leaves the image? That pulling so far out of the ass. Shit. That when Jesus is resurrected, it emits 1.21 gigawatts of electricity, and that puts his fucking face perfectly on this fucking, like it's painted, like it. What? It's fucking crazy. Sarah's finally here. Sarah, I am so sorry. I didn't see your messages before. But what you missed, you're a big fucking fat ass liar. What we did in the meantime was Google. We just Googled like the scientific consensus of the Shroud of Turin. Like true or fraud, just like. And the AI overview was like, it's fucking fraud, duh, here's all the reasons. And then it wasn't just that. It was every single fucking source after that. And I'm like, how is this convincing anybody? That's fucking nuts. That is the explanation. That so much electricity it would have just vaporized the fucking thing. What? That would have vaporized this cloth. What? So Jesus is just a fucking battery? Like, what? Okay, I don't see messages, so where are the messages? She just said hi. We found that the Shroud radiometrically dated to 1300 BCE, and so and they even say it in this video, and they just like hand wave it away. They don't even like. I thought they were going to like talk about like debunking radiometric dating, but maybe they will. But they did not get into that yet. And it's like that's enough. That is enough to like know for fucking sure it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm dissociating right now, so okay, no worries. I understand. But I appreciate being here, even for the bit that you did. I'm just apologizing. I didn't see your messages. I felt so bad about not reading them. I promised my friend that I would react to this. Okay. Oh really? Oh really? Carbon date all of it! What? So they're talking about, this is what the AI overview went over, that there are parts where people are saying, oh, they carbon dated the patches. They try to fix this thing up, and then they carbon dated the patches. They didn't carbon date the actual thing. The actual thing's 2,000 years old. And then it was like, no, that's fucking wrong, dude. So here's the conspiracy theory: is like all of science is trying to be against Jesus for fucking why? When the I think the majority of scientists are still theists, like they still believe in God, and in America, I think most of them are Christian, or that's the biggest population of them. So if that was the case, then why? Then why is that not the scientific consensus? Is that like it's only the fucking conspiracy theorists that will say some shit, don't submit it to peer review so it can actually get tested, and then they're like, I don't want to submit it to peer review because then they're just going to shit all over it, and they have an agenda to meet. When you prove science wrong, you get a fucking Nobel Prize. This would be a big deal if it was fucking true. You're just fucking lying. What do you mean? Yes, it's fucking said so. The scientific consensus is that's fucking bullshit. That's so funny. I just read that on fucking Google that was all the criticisms. It's like right out of the fucking book, and all of them have already been debunked. That is true. Probably because they're so fucking embarrassed by it. Crazy that a fucking first page Google search already debunked these criticisms. You mean fucking lying to people like you are? So that's their skirt around radiometric dating, is that they only dated a piece of cloth that patched it. It would only take one fucking scientist to carbon date any other part of it that you claim to be the original, submit it to peer review, And then they have to, and then they're like, holy shit, what? And they would want to replicate the results. They would want to make that happen. They would want to fucking give that dude a Nobel Prize. It's how it fucking works. Absolute horseshit. No, it's not. They're just preaching the bullshit. Right. No. Let's just fucking Google that, shall we? X-ray dating Shroud of Turin. Scientific consensus. X-ray dating Shroud of Turin is a new development that suggests possibility of first century and contradicting the original dating. The study, while using one indicates the line refinement since 2,000 years. Aging match samples of the era. However, this X-ray finding is not yet widely accepted scientific consensus. Oh, shocker. As the older carbon dating findings remain strong. Yep. Further testing is needed. So what the fuck? X-ray dating. Let's see the sources of this. The sources of the X-ray dating thing that I just read is Catholicism.org. So that's obviously biased. Relevant Magazine. Let's go to Relevant Magazine. Interesting. Relevant Magazine. Scroll to the bottom. Relevant Media Group. Relevant Magazine. Authenticity. Is that the right word? What is it? Reliability. Reliable source. Okay. So we're going to go to media bias / fact check. They have a left center bias. Okay, so let's see what they say. The Relevant Magazine. Okay. So, scientists now think the Shroud of Turin could actually be linked to Jesus. I don't think that's fucking true. Just because this article says so. Because what I just read on the Google overview is that is not the scientific consensus. So let's go back to their other things. And there's Dan McKellen. Have scientists confirmed the authenticity of the Shroud of Turin? And it's a short. I could watch a short.
Scholars are also rather committed to the authenticity of the Shroud. In fact, one of them claimed that in 1998 they had a personal revelation confirming the authenticity of the Shroud while they were standing in front of it. But we don't really have any expert responses to these papers yet, so
anecdotal evidence.
Apart from the fact that this conflicts with the consensus among scientists that the Shroud is a mid-14th century forgery.
Yeah.
And the Shroud first pops up in the historical record around 1354 in France. And in 1989, radiocarbon dating found that it dated to the late 13th to the mid-14th century CE. So most likely, this is a medieval forgery. Now, as with all things related to dogmas, there are going to be people who insist that the academic consensus is misguided, or it is based on lies, or...
Okay. PBS, Shadow Christ. I wonder what PBS says about this. Anything? The scientific team, experts, perform radio carbon dating. Results show the famous cloth did not date back to the time of crucifixion in the 1st century. The cloth seemed to have been manufactured sometime between 1260 and 1390. Team concluded the Shroud was nothing more than a medieval hoax. Anything about the X-ray? Nope. And then that is the end of Google AI's. Is PBS another YouTube thing that's like a minute long. There's Shroud of Turin. Okay. From Britannica. 2022, researchers in Italy published the results of a study in which they used technique of wide-angle X-ray scattering to analyze small pieces of Shroud. The study concluded the Shroud's degradations of the Shroud lion were fully compatible with those on another lion sample that had been dated according to historical records to 55 to 74 CE. Oh, it's CE. I'm sorry, I've been saying that the whole time wrong. BCE means BC, and then CE means Common Era, so that's AD. Sorry, totally fucking getting that wrong the entire video. Environmental carbon contamination was suggested. The source of the discrepancy between those findings are the results of the carbon dating in 1980 and 2022. Studies results bolstered the hypothesis the Shroud is truly a form of in the time of Christ, although the researchers made no conclusion regarding the Shroud's authenticity as a relic, and also noted the further testing needed to be confirmed the conclusions. Confirm the conclusions. That's throwing me off. And then they go and list a bunch of Bible verses. Yeah, so I don't know. I think this one's very clearly biased since it has a bunch of fucking Bible verses in this article. Like the majority of it is. So that's that. So just from looking that up, and I'm glad I looked at all the sources, the X-ray hasn't been replicated, and so it sounds like that could also be a forgery because they've never replicated it, the X-ray thing. Interesting. I'm assuming Um, at this point, I should have heard about if the X-ray dating is like unreliable or something. I would have heard about that by now. I mean, I could just Google it. I don't think it is, because like, why would they mention like a dating that like wouldn't work? X-ray dating reliability. X-ray dating's reliability varies significantly by method and application, with techniques like WAXS, wide-angle X-ray scattering, being promising for linen, but highly dependent on precise environmental storage history, while WAXS could potentially date fabrics to millennia. Its results are only accurate if contamination, temperature, and humidity factors are perfectly accounted for, making it unreliable when such conditions are unknown or compromised. In contrast, other X-ray methods like ESR, electron spin resonance dating, are used for fossils and have been validated against other methods, but require establishing equivalent doses from the specimen and can be limited by political issues affecting access to irradiation sources. So it looks like contamination, temperature, and humidity factors are accounted for, making it unreliable when such conditions are unknown or compromised. So that could very well maybe be the thing with the Shroud of Turin, that they're the only one that seems to be getting the dating that they're wanting is X-ray dating, and it is known to be unreliable under conditions that I think would be perfectly reasonable to assume that this fucking piece of forgery fabric could have went under. And also, like, people want this result. So it's like, how the fuck would this get a result that was different than the carbon dating? How many times was the Shroud of Turin carbon-14 dated? Shroud of Turin was carbon dated 14 once in 1988 by 3 independent laboratories, Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona. These test samples a small, possibly repaired portion of the cloth, indicating medieval origin. A result that has since been contested by subsequent research suggesting the tests were flawed. Okay. This is changing people's lives. Going back to the original thing I searched, I searched Shroud of Turin scientific consensus, true or fraud. Trying to see where it talks about any debunked arguments of authenticity. Okay, here we go. I'll read it again. Sample contamination claims that the 1988 carbon-dated samples were contaminated by modern fabrics from medieval repair. They've been dismissed by experts. So that's all it's saying about that, is that it was dismissed by experts. The radiocarbon dating was meticulously planned, and follow-up examinations of leftover samples showed no evidence of significant modern or contaminated material. So, can you give me a citation for that? Let's see. Fringe theories about the Shroud of Turin. Okay. This is from skeptic.com. For example, in recent weeks, newspapers around the world reported a group of Italian researchers discovered an innovative way to date the fabric around the Shroud of Turin. This dating disproved the results of the radiocarbon dating, which had been placed the creation of the Shroud of Turin in order between 13th and 14th centuries, according to the media reports, classes like around 2,000 years old. However, this information is incorrect, and the media did not bother to check the reliability of what they published. If the Examiner reports closely here what actually happened. The article by Italian scholars was published 2022, so it's not new. The simple fact are news outlets in the U.S. broke the news 2 years late, and then many other simply copied from it. Proposing dating systems are not normally used, nor has been validated by the scientific community. It is based on the X-rays wide angle, which are supposed to measure the degradation of cellulose fibers. The system was invented in 2019 by the very same authors for the purpose of dating the Shroud. So it's not used by anybody else? Okay, then. The method is highly unreliable because tissue aging is strongly influenced by environmental factors such as humidity, temperature, light exposure, storage conditions, the possible presence of microorganisms, or of various chemicals, all of which are unpredictable variables that can heavily alter the results. Thus, it cannot provide a reliable dating that is remotely comparable to provided by the proven carbon-14 method, which dates the Shroud as of being medieval origin. Interesting. This is the unraveling myths surrounding the Shroud of Turin. March 4th, 2025, from Skeptic. Interesting that the people that did that study made the fucking system and they didn't use it for anything else, which is also why when I just Googled the X-ray thing, it only talked about fabrics that was like talking about the Shroud of Turin. It didn't say that, but it was saying everything like it. But then the results that followed that didn't what do you call it? All the results that followed that were talking about the Shroud of Turin. So that Google result is exclusive with that, it seems like. So that's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. That someone made up, pulled out of their ass an entirely new way of us to get, an entirely new way of us to get measurements of dating, and the only thing they used it on was the Shroud of Turin? How fucking sus is that? That's so sus. And for the fuck of it, because I love Emma Thorne, we're gonna throw on her thing. It's nice and short. Why the fuck not? Everyone go subscribe to Emma Thorne. I want to put some actual content in this video. I don't think it was fun that I had to fucking block out the entire thing because of fucking copyright of what the fuck is that fucker's name? Tucker Carlson. Oh my god. Let's watch Emma fucking Thorne and let's turn up the volume. Here we go. You should be able to hear this. Let's go. And then just
here's why it's so important.
Double checking you can hear it.
Trump Republicans have already eliminated Roe v. Wade. Now they're trying to rig the next election so they can slash healthcare.
Because this video is already so long anyways, so let's react to Emma Thorne, shall we?
You can stop them.
Double checking you
puts
can
the
hear
election
it.
back on a level playing
Yep, you can hear
and
it.
gives
Great.
voters the power. Protect freedom in all 50 states. Yes.
So this is a pretty updated debunk as much as we can get.
News I love to read about.
Emma Thorne knows more than I do. So anyways, let's do Emma Thorne. There's no fuck... I swear to God, Emma, if this gets copyrighted by you, weird. But anyways, I'm promoting your channel. Everyone go subscribe to her. All right, let's do
The
this.
discovery of an old-ass document. Call me a nerd, but I love it. I love to hear what the people of centuries past were thinking and talking about. And in this case, what they were thinking was, that musty old rag did not contain the body of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christmas. Thank you very much. That's right. I don't know why I'd be around the bush, because, I mean, you're going to have seen it from the video title already. I'm a master of suspense.
We wouldn't call...
That's
I don't know.
right,
Would you call
recent
Emma Thorne science
discoveries
communicator?
adding to the pile
Maybe.
of
I don't think
evidence
she would
that says
describe
the Shroud of
herself as
Turin
one.
is not legit. What's that,
She's
my
more of
lord?
a...
You would never be wrapped
conspiracy
in that skanky old
theorist,
robe.
commentator.
Clearly, if he was wrapped in anything, Jesus would have been wrapped in a Jedi robe.
But
Let's take it back.
she always
You
gives
already
a
know the
good
history of the Shroud of Turin, and you know about
reasoning
the
and
various
evidence
studies that
behind
occurred on it in the past.
what
You
she
can skip
thinks.
ahead using the chapter markers down
So,
below
in my
to the
opinion,
newest evidence.
I think she
For the
uses
rest
her
of you,
science
hold
brain
on to your horses,
well
it's all gonna
enough.
get a bit Dan Brown.
I would, if I were to
Even more
classify her as
boring.
anything, I would put her in
How
the
nice.
camp of
Save
science
honest
communicator
discussion from such a literary snob.
with
I'm unsubscribing right
an
now.
asterisk
The greatest
of
respect
like...
to those of you who enjoy Dan Brown novels. I assume it is at
She's
least
no
partly on
expertise,
some ironic
same as
level.
me.
As per the
And apparently you don't need it.
horrifically awful Shroud of
You
Turin
just need
website,
to
the Shroud of Turin is
be honest with
the
your
single
results.
most studied artifact in human history. You'd think that the importance that this alleged artifact has to so many millions of people, you'd think that they could have paid someone to make a better website. And maybe it was a really good website and they just haven't updated it in 15 years. We believe that if you have access to the facts, you can make up your own mind about the Shroud. I don't know if I totally hold with that, because people have made up their own mind about all sorts of facts, and they believe that we never landed on the moon and that the Earth is flat. Maybe we should trust experts. Oh, that is fun. You can mouse over and have a look at the pre and post restoration Shroud.
Anyone
So
that's like make up your own mind, like super fucking sketch. Scientists don't ever fucking say
When
that.
it is recorded that it wound up in the hands of a famed knight, Geoffrey de Charnay. In 1389, it went on
Do
exhibition.
you like how
and the
my
local bishop
video
of
is
Troyes
not getting
declared it
copyrighted,
cunningly painted,
blocked
the truth being attested
by
the
Emma
artist
Thorne,
himself.
and it was with
So this
Tucker
bishop
Carlson?
denounced
Isn't that
the
great?
Shroud in a letter to the Pope at the time. Obviously the Pope at the time, not the Pope of the future. A stupid thing to say. He denounced the Shroud in a letter to
It's
the
1
Pope
a.m.
when he
right
claimed
now,
that the
but
artist
we're
who made
doing
it
this.
had confessed to forging this Shroud. The Pope allowed it to continue being exhibited as a symbol or an icon, a representation.
They
of this
confessed to
important moment in their
it
faith.
being
So our
a
earliest
forgery.
extant records of the Shroud of Turin are of it popping into existence, and then a well-respected bishop telling the Pope that it was definitely a forgery. For some reason, in years hence, in centuries hence, popes started
The Tucker
taking
Carlson
it for
video
granted
did
that
not...
this
At
was
least I
an
don't
authentic
think they
artifact
addressed
that was indeed
the
wrapped around the body of
was the
Christ.
bishop.
Bearing in mind this is 13, 14,
She said
100 years
that
after the fact.
proclaimed
In
him to make the
1453,
forgery.
Geoffrey de Charnay's granddaughter Marguerite gave the shroud to the House of Savoy at Chambéry, where it was damaged by fire and water in 1532, hence the
Oh,
damage that you can
shit.
see to it now. The damage didn't help in assessing its authenticity. Fast forward all the way to the late 1970s, early 80s, and enter Stirp. That is the
Stir.
Shroud of Turin research project. Stir. Very serious business. It's a cool thing. A bunch of scientists.
Okay, I'm glad
under
I'm actually really
direction
glad
of
we're
any
doing this now,
particular
because
authority, wanted
Emma
to
Thorne
study it,
clearly
thought it
has
was
done more
study,
research than I have.
Started taking a look, invited more people to take a look. The idea to scientifically date the Shroud.
I just fucking
around
Googled it,
60
and that's the
hours,
least
but
you
at
can
the
do
time
at
it
home.
required the destruction of too much of the fabric, and so that was refused. In the 1970s, though, scientists developed new techniques for radiocarbon dating, prompting the Roman Catholic Church to create STIRP. I know it sounds stupid because I'm saying it like that. But
The
I
Catholic
can't
Church
not.
made it?
STIRP. I can't not say it like Homer Simpson
Interesting.
would say it, okay? That's just how I am as a person. You have to accept that. If you can't handle me at my STIRP, you don't get me at my everything else. The Shroud of Turin research project involved over 30 scientists, multi-faith, non-Christians included. I'm going to pronounce everybody's names in this wrong, but it'll take 1,000 years if I look up exactly how each of them is pronounced. So you'll just have to bear with me, and I'm sorry.
So the
The
Catholic
commission, headed by
Church
chemist
used
Robert
science to
H.
do this?
Geiger and physicist Harry E. Gove consulted numerous laboratories which were able to carbon date small fabric samples. The 6 labs that showed interest in performing the procedure fell into 2 categories according to method. 2 used a proportional counter approach. The proportional counter, according to the internet, is a type of gaseous ionizing detector which is used to measure particles of ionizing radiation. The other labs used accelerator mass spectrometry. Spectrometry? Yeah, that is right. It just is hard to say. Please be nice to me, I'm only small. Accelerator mass spectrometry is a form of mass spectrometry that accelerates ions to extraordinarily high kinetic energies before mass analysis. The point being that
Is
the
that like
scientists decided,
spectroscopy?
in the interest of obtaining replicable and independent results, that different labs would conduct their tests at the same time. However, there was a disagreement between the STIRP... Come on. There was a disagreement between the STIRP group and the laboratories, because these are independent laboratory candidates, which turned into a public relations nightmare. STIRP expected to perform the radiometric examination under its own aegis after the other examinations had been completed, while the laboratories considered radiocarbon dating to be the prime test. Years are passing while this disagreement is happening. 1986. A meeting with ecclesiastical authorities took place on September 29th, 1986, to determine the way forward. By way of a compromise, they created the Turin Protocol. This stated that carbon dating would be the only test performed. Original and control samples indistinguishable from each other would be provided, aka performing a blind test. The test would be performed concurrently by 7 laboratories under the joint supervision of the Pontifical Academy of Science, the Archbishop of Turin, and the British Museum. Both dating methods would be adopted. The sample offered to each laboratory would weigh 28 milligrams, in total equivalent to 9 centimeters squared of cloth. The laboratories would not communicate with each other during the testing,
Good.
nor divulge the results of the test to anyone but the
Good.
3 supervising authorities. But then, I'm sure you will agree, a very sensible compromise on many fronts, with a focus on scientific integrity. Forget all that, says the Vatican. The procedure would probably be performed by 2 or 3 laboratories at most. On October 10th, Cardinal Anastasio Balastro officially announced to the 7 laboratories that the proportional counter method would not be used because this method would require too much shroud material. Only 3 laboratories, Oxford, Tuscan and Zurich, would be provided with shroud samples to be tested. The sole supervising institution would be the British Museum. Obviously, these deviations from
Gotcha.
the Turin Agreement, which now feels redundant,
So basically, the
were
Catholic
heavily
Church
criticised. The blind test method
refused
demanded
the extra
because
testing
the distinctive 3-to-1 herringbone
because they
twill
thought
weave of the shroud
3
could not
would be
matched
enough,
in the
and they didn't
controls.
want to risk it just in case it was
So it was always
authentic.
possible for a laboratory to identify
Because I'm sure,
the
like,
actual shroud.
they went into
Until
it thinking it
17th,
probably was.
1988, 10 years.
Because why
after
wouldn't
the
they
STIRP
want
project had been initialized.
scientific
British Museum scientific
reason to
director
believe
Michael
that,
Pike
like,
published in Nature
part of their story
the
is true,
final
right?
protocol. The laboratories at Oxford, Zurich and Tuscan would perform the test. The laboratories would each receive 2 control samples clearly distinguishable from the shroud sample. So yes, control samples, no blind testing. Each test would be filmed. There would be no comparison of results nor communication between laboratories until the results be certified as definitive, and the proportional counter method would not be used because it required gram quantities rather than milligram quantities of shroud material, as discussed earlier. So the testing was finally performed at these 3 laboratories. October 13th, 1988, at a very well-attended press conference, the results were announced. The result of all that nonsense is that the radiocarbon dating tested the Shroud to a date of 1260 to 1390 with 95% confidence. Now, obviously, we've been over a lot of criticism of the protocols involved anyway, the lack of blind testing, etc., but we do have 3 separate labs obtaining mutually compatible results. The main reason that people argue with this, the main reason that people don't that lots of people have criticisms of this particular testing, the testing of one specific area of the Shroud, the hypothesis being that what was dated was a medieval repair to the Shroud rather than the original Shroud. This theory is typically known as invisible reweaving, which is actually a pretty problematic idea in itself. The hypothesis goes that this was a medieval repair job that we were unable to detect. There's all sorts of analyses of, like...
I don't know.
Small fibers that could be cotton fibers and things like that.
How would we not be able to detect that? Like the scientists wouldn't be able to figure that out.
So probably
it's just like
so wrong.
So
an expert in the restoration of textiles who headed the
so
restoration and conservation of the Turin Shroud in 2002.
like you really think the scientists are that dumb and you're smarter than
pointing out that
everybody
it would be
else?
technically impossible to perform such a repair without leaving traces, and that she found no such traces in her study of the Shroud.
There you go.
Perhaps even more importantly, Harry E. Gove, who you might
That
remember from
sounds
earlier, and who you might know
like
of
it
from helping to
makes way
invent
more
carbon
sense.
dating in the first place, radiocarbon dating, sorry. He was closely involved in setting up the STIRP. He has written that another argument has been made that part of the Shroud was subjected to medieval textile restoration. He says, if so, the restoration would have had to been done with such incredible virtuosity as to render it microscopically indistinguishable from the real thing. Even modern so-called invisible weaving can readily be detected under a microscope, so this possibility seems unlikely. It seems very convincing
that is
measured in
quite the
laboratories
claim that
was
there was a
genuine
fucking
cloth from the
repair
Shroud.
job. You're just like, look at that! Look at that thing! Like, what is that thing? That's a repair job! It's like,
carbon dating
what?
has ever been subjected to such scrupulously careful examination and treatment, nor perhaps ever will again. In December 2010, Timothy Joel, a member of the 1988 radiocarbon dating team, and editor of the peer-reviewed journal Radiocarbon, co-authored an article in that journal with Rachel A. Freer-Waters. They examined a portion of the radiocarbon sample that was left over from the section used by the University of Arizona in 1988 for the carbon dating exercise. They viewed the fragment using a low magnification stereo microscope, as well as under high magnification through both transmitted light and polarized light, and then with epifluorescence microscopy. I don't know what that is.
I can actually see the
either.
skip button now. I wasn't able to see that before when I was only able to show the fucking subtitles. It is No Man's Sky. Okay, maybe I should check out No Man's Sky. Anyways, totally different channel. I have a gaming channel. Isn't that cool? It's just called Bryce Barnett. It's just my name. I like how it's showing me a No Man's Sky ad after I talk shit about it.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's. I want a solid
Raising Cane's
mix of
pretty
4
good.
chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries with Texas
But
toast.
BB.Q
Back to you, Todd.
chicken is
So
the best
usual.
chicken I've ever had.
Make Raising Cane's,
And Raising
part
Cane's
of
is
your
not even
game day
close.
lineup.
I didn't picture ever growing into an adult.
Yay!
I have experience.
All right,
They viewed the
wait,
fragment
here we go.
using multiple methods, I think is the important thing we take away from that. They found only low levels of contamination by a few cotton fibers, and no evidence that the samples actually used for measurements in the C14 dating process were dyed, treated, or otherwise manipulated. They concluded that the radiocarbon dating had been performed on a sample of the original Shroud material. Not totally conclusive in the sense that without a time machine, none of these historical studies are totally conclusive. The arguments,
Except that they filmed it.
very reasonable arguments about the lack of blind testing and things like that, even though
Or at least that was
blind
the
testing
agreement
rejected
that
because
they
it
would-
just wasn't
that they would
really
film it,
possible.
right?
Plenty of reasonable arguments about the kind of about some of the methods used in the radiocarbon dating process. However, the arguments that we're seeing against the results, which are pretty conclusive, pointing this to be like a 13th century, 14th century medieval shroud. The arguments against it are the same sort of arguments that young Earth creationists use against the radiocarbon dating of fossils and things like that. Debunked by actual experts. They don't really hold water. These arguments only survive because, again, without a time machine, there is no...
I mean, maybe some
concrete
use
way
that in
to
at least
say,
in the
yes, no,
Tucker
this is
Carlson
completely
video. I wasn't
accurate
paying
testing.
100%
But
attention to
lots
it
of,
because
particularly religious
most of it was
fundamentalists and science
completely
propaganda
off
relies on
topic.
this notion of it's only a theory.
Absolutely
Most people
ridiculous.
love the unfalsifiable, right? You can't say definitively 100% that yes, this is true, so for the sake of my beliefs, I'm going to say that it's false. Whereas, as this has been pointed out, this is probably the most studied artifact in like all of modern history. Does that make sense? I'm going to say it anyway, in modern history, and was subjected to such incredibly rigorous testing, was properly cleaned. You know, this is the best results we could probably ever get suggest that this is from the 1300s. However, there was another breaking study in 2022.
Here we go.
According to reports on the subject, a group of Italian scientists performed wide-angle X-ray scattering on the Shroud of Turin. That's supposed to measure the degradation of cellulose fibers in order to date something. Importantly, this isn't a widely accepted or widely used method of dating. In fact, as far as I can tell, it seems to be only used and invented by the authors of this study.
Oh,
who are not
shit.
neutral scientists, but in fact approaching it from the perspective of believers.
Oh,
Doesn't mean they
shit.
can't be
What
right,
does that line
does
up
mean that
with?
we have to factor in their bias. Part of what makes this method so unreliable is because it's measuring the aging of the canvas, of the tissue, which can be massively affected by environmental factors. I guess I'm not an expert, so I don't know how much of a difference this makes, but the Shroud has been on fire like a couple of times. So I do wonder as a layman if that would affect, you know, the ability of this method to properly age the Shroud. Anyway, it became a big thing because they managed to date it to the 1st, 2nd century. The method itself, widely criticised, not accepted by the wider scientific community. It was done and had the results that people wanted, so it became mainstream news. In 1980, a scientist called Dr. McCrone used electron microscopy and X-ray diffraction and found red ochre and vermilion, and the electron microprobe analyzer found iron, mercury and sulfur on a dozen of the blood image area samples, which suggests, and what Dr. McCrone believes, is that the image was painted twice, once with red ochre and once with vermilion to enhance the blood image areas. His hypothesis being that the cloth, the Shroud of Turin, was a medieval painting produced shortly before its first recorded appearance in history, in 1356, which is the theory that makes the most sense to me and seems to follow the evidence. So, to summarise all of that, all of the accepted, peer-reviewed, mainstream, multidisciplinary scientific study suggests that the Shroud of Turin originated between the 13th and the 15th century, which is also when it started appearing in historical documents. In my opinion, it's very suspicious that there would have been no mention of this relic until 1300 years after the fact, and the earliest mentions of this relic being respected bishops arguing that this was a forgery, and in fact arguing that they knew who had painted it. The person who had painted it had admitted to it being an artwork, a recent creation. What reason does an honest, God-fearing bishop of the 14th century have for lying to the Pope about this being a forgery? Seems unlikely. Fast forward to 2025. Hey, welcome back. You're looking great. You don't look a day over 600 years old. Some fairly interesting news from this year. A 3D designer and digital graphics expert,
I did see this.
Cicero Moraes, used 3D modelling software to model how clothing would move on two types of forms: a full three-dimensional human body and a low-relief sculpture, aka a flat surface with shallow raised areas. In Moraes' recent digital test, the image that was produced when a cloth was virtually draped over a 3D human model appeared warped, wider and misshapen due to the nature of fabric flowing over volume. That distortion is called the Agamemnon mask effect. On the other hand, the imprint from a low-relief sculpture closely matched the shape and dimensions of that on the Turin Shroud. The contact pattern generated by the low-relief model is more compatible with the Shroud's image.
Well, Emma's version of this video is way better than mine.
Distortion and greater fidelity to the observed contours.
I'm just fucking screaming over here.
Sculpture may be made of wood.
Go subscribe to Emma. I'm out of business
now. A strong
now.
candidate to serve as a mold. Heat or pigment may have been applied only to the embossed areas of the surface to create an imprint on the fabric. This way, Moraes contended, this method would explain the smooth, flat image one finds on the Shroud, unlike the distorted result one might find by wrapping fabric around a real human body. Because it does appear like a face, right? It
Yes.
doesn't have the, you know, the smudging sort of effect that if you actually wrapped something around your face, you would have this distorted area, right? During the medieval period, low-relief depictions of religious individuals, particularly on tombstones, were common in Europe. Shallow carvings would have been a familiar practice to artists during the time. So you can see that up here in this image. This is from Moraes's study, and he didn't attempt to accurately recreate, you know, what would have been the medieval tools of artistry at the time. He wasn't attempting to date it or age it. This was just a study in which he showed that this is this method of creating the image seems more compatible with the shroud that we have, the artifact that we have, as a piece of religious artwork. This is the touch texture in the three-dimensional model on the shroud. B here is the actual texture of the shroud. You can see A representing the way that a three-dimensional human body would be wrapped, or the way the relief would appear after a three-dimensional human body had been wrapped in cloth. Has all this distortion. Kind of looks like it's got a Green Man thing going on the head there, right? Pagan. But so you have this distortion. It's not like the sort of perfect flat representation of a human body that the shroud is, which you can see in C, if it was a flat, shallow sort of relief. So that's not a scientific analysis. That's a 3D artist offering some quite compelling, I think, insights into how the shroud might have been created and the problems with assuming that this image was formed by a cloth wrapping a human being. And finally, most recently, hot off the press, this news. So this is a recently discovered treatise on unexplained phenomena, dated between 1355 and 1382. The Norman scholar Nicola Resme refers to the shroud as a patent example of clerical fraud, prompting him to be more broadly suspicious of the word of ecclesiastics. Resme writes, "I do not need to believe anyone who claims someone performed such miracle for me, because many clergymen thus deceive others in order to elicit offerings for their churches." The problems of the 14th century are still the problems of...
Don't you like how Emma stays on fucking topic?
Where it was said that there was the shroud of the Lord Jesus Christ, and for the almost infinite number of those who have forged such things and
This is so much more enjoyable.
Resme later became the Bishop of Lisieux in France, and was a super important religious figure in the Middle Ages, well regarded for his rational explanations for so-called miracles. Guys, when we talk about the important historical, naturalist, scientific work that has been performed by good, scrupulous Christians through the ages, this is the kind of person we're talking about. Not this Vatican approach of, sure, there have been 10 billion miracles and all of these so-called artifacts are banned from scientific study. No, real, honest to God, if you'll forgive the slightly too appropriate phrasing, proper, rational, contextualizing, fakes and frauds. You love to see it. Dr. Nicolas Sarzoud, probably not saying that right, a historian at the Université Catholique of Louvain, Belgium, and lead author of this new study, says, "What makes Resme's writing stand out is his attempt to provide rational explanations for unexplained phenomena, rather than interpreting them as divine or demonic." Which is crazy that stands out as unique. So that is another well-respected bishop from medieval times asserting with complete confidence the Shroud of Turin is absolutely a clerical forgery, clerical fraud, as many throughout history have done since this artifact popped into being again 1300 years after supposedly it should have come into being. All of that corroborating and being corroborated by the scientific studies performed on the shroud, which also point to it being a production of the 13th to 15th century. There you go, yet more evidence that the Shroud of Turin was not in fact a shroud that wrapped Jesus Christ in history, but as it was presented in our earliest documents, simply a piece of medieval artistry. Do let me know your thoughts down below if you happen to have any expertise in any of the dating methods or 3D modeling or anything of this particular nature that you can give some more insight into. Please drop it for us down below. You know we love to learn. What a bunch of nerds. But yeah, seriously, please and thank you. Do give the video a like and subscribe to the channel.
I think I did like it and I subscribed.
All sorts of videos on this and other completely unrelated topics.
Oh no, it was already liked.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you need, I got a video for it. That's an Emma Thorne guarantee. The best way to support me in this channel is via the Patreon, especially helpful
She's
right
the
now
best
because
duck.
I am about to move
Anyways,
house.
that's enough of that. That's enough of that. I'm sick. I'm sick of this. Lots of Zelda. I've been watching Sarah play Zelda. I've been helping her out. Anyways, I'm now sick of this topic. Look, it's me. Look, it's me. It's me.
It's enough of that.
It's just me. Yeah, I'm sick of this. Hope you guys are too. I think that settles it. If anyone asks me about this in the future, I'm just gonna send them this stupid ass long live stream about it. If they really want my thoughts on it. Yeah, it's a fraud all the way down. That's it. It's not even interesting anymore. So, cool. Thanks for watching. That's that. What do I normally say in my outros? Anyways, oh yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you very much. And until next time, later.